Okay, well, I'm here. How you doing? This is something that I thought that I wouldn't have to do for a while, would be sitting in my car at 7:32 in the morning on the 710 North heading to a place that I normally don't go to. And good morning, Bart. How you doing? This one's an interesting video because usually I do these on Facebook Live, but today I decided to go Instagram and just see where this goes. So it's currently standstill traffic. I'm on the 710 North, and maybe this will be just kind of my interesting discussion about how things just get heavy. Things just get really heavy around this time of the year, whether we like it or not. And I will say that with everything that's been happening this year, well, to me personally, and also to just people I know, I'll tell you, we all just need to, at the end of the year, just sit at a bar and just chill with beer and truffle fries and just let it all out, because this has been a crazy time for a lot of people. Now, for those who are new to this format, sometimes when I have nothing to do, or when this actually did start back in 2017 when I was dealing with how horrible my job was at one point, I would do these recordings during lunch where I would just kind of talk about the weird things that would happen to me at work, and then I would go into other tangents about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, this is kind of what it's doing. I haven't done one of these in a while, but I do try to find a way to do at least one a year. Now, this particular context, I will say, this one's going to have a lot of just heavy stuff, because that's what today is. Monday, today's what, Monday, I don't even know anymore. Well, other than the fact that my watch face reverted back to one that I haven't used, but today is Monday the 28th. I'm actually on my way to Fire Station 152 in Covina to cover, with cameras of course, a flag raising ceremony for a fallen firefighter. Unfortunately, I know this firefighter. He's actually the husband of one of my former colleagues at LAUSD when I first started my career in teaching back in 2006. He passed away due to complications from his cancer treatments, and at the time of his passing, he was a captain in the fire department for LA County. So this is a huge thing because he was an active duty firefighter, and not only that, but just someone who has been around on the force for so long that he was very well loved by his peers. A lot of people are very sad by this whole thing. So am I, because I used to do IT work, and used to see him around the house a lot when he was hanging out and doing his thing. So it's been a tough one for a lot of people, and I mean, this is not among many things. This is one of just many difficult things that I'm going to film, but I've also had to film this year. For those who hadn't or been keeping track of things I've been doing, earlier this year I was covering lacrosse season for Culver City High School, and at that time it was the season opener for Culver City High School, and one of the players on the opposing team went down on the during the game. He collapsed during the game and actually went into cardiac arrest. And this student, he did survive. Just that's why I don't mind talking about this now, because after the fact, he survived and he's good. He was actually up and walking about less than a month after the incident and supporting his team and everything. And I'm really just glad that he's probably just going to continue living a normal life, considering that his high school lacrosse career is over. There's a lot of other things that he could have lost. So I'm just happy that, he's okay now. Because I'll tell you, that was not a very cool thing to have to film. I was given instruction by my videography people, and I understand why I had to do it. It was mainly because if I didn't, it was mainly for any sort of liability or any eyewitness, if they needed eyewitness stuff going on, because obviously everyone else was too shocked to have a camera out, and I just happened to be covering the game. I texted my contractor and I said, hey, what would you like me to do about this? And she was like, just keep the cameras rolling and just slip me that extra footage. Hopefully we won't have to do anything with it. And fortunately, what was done with it was probably just for record-keeping purposes, or if anything. Fortunately, I'm just so happy that the kid didn't pass away. It wasn't looking really good. But I will have to say, though, Culver City Fire Department and paramedics were on top of that shit, and it was amazing how fast they were able to get on the field, because, they had to work on him for quite a bit before they could stabilize him and send him to the hospital. So there was a lot going on. But yeah, so this is where I'm going right now in Covina. Like I said, I am going to Fire Station 152, which is actually up on Azusa Boulevard, which is California 39. It's at the foot of the Azusa Highway that goes into the hills. And yes, it's the same 39 that if you took it south, it would take you all the way back down to Huntington Beach. So it's that 39. I decided to leave significantly earlier than expected, just because I knew that I was going to have to deal with the 710 the way it is, and I'd rather be sitting in this without any sort of time crunch than kind of trying to panic through this, because I don't miss commuting. I'll tell you, I really don't miss commuting one bit. It's awful. I remember having to subject myself to this around this time last year, just subjecting myself to heavy commutes, and I used to have to do pretty much the equivalent of the distance of of my house to Covina, but to Yorba Linda instead. And regardless, I was traveling eastbound, whereas in this case I'm traveling northeast because of the location. It's still about a 40 plus mile. It's almost from here probably close to 45-50 miles from where I live to the fire department. So it's a bit of a hike. And I remember having to do this every single day for a whole year and a half, and I don't miss it. The last part of my time at the last school that I was at that caused me to have to do this, I was doing it in a car because mentally I just wasn't in any state to ride. It's been it was hard. So for the last probably April, May, June, probably like the last 9 months of my time there, I would actually grin and bear it and sit in my car and do this. Like, it was just nothing else I could do. So yeah, I find that we're just commuting is one of those things that I hope that for many positions that don't require the travel, I hope that we get to a point where many more people will be able to work either from home or remotely wherever they want to be, instead of having to sit through this slog unnecessarily. I mean, obviously, whether we like it or not, there will always be positions, there will always be jobs that are going to require presence of a human, and I understand that. But there's just a lot of things now that have been so automated by computers and the portability of technology, that why aren't we taking advantage of it? And it always makes me wonder why people despise it so much, calling us lazy. Or I'll tell you, I'm still working just as hard, if not working like 2-3 more. I work like 2 other jobs in addition to other side hustles that I have going on. You cannot call me lazy when I say that I work remotely, because the first thing I'm going to do is hit you with the closest sharp object I could find. Because it's not easy to work remotely, regardless of what people think. It's not glamorous. It's a lot more unorthodox, and it really does force you to think about things in a different way in terms of your perspective on how does work for you. Because you're finding that you're trying to find the best way to navigate life and also balance while you're working remotely. This is not like a vacation thing. I don't just sit on my thumbs all day and twiddle and it's something that needs to be explained to a lot of people who are like, oh, so you just sit on your computer for 30 minutes and then you're done with the day. It's like, no. That's just the tip of the iceberg. That's not something that that's not something that happens a lot. Yeah, are there days where your work is finished faster than you expect? The answer is yes. And one of the nice things is that being remote just cuts that whole commute time. I mean, it's taking me nearly an hour to get to this location. And you imagine that's 1 hour this way, and then I'm not sure about the return back. You know, because of what's going on here, I may have to stay up in the area for just a little bit longer before I have to come back down again for physical therapy. So, yeah, it's not, it cuts off a commute, but it replaces it with other things that you need to do. So, yeah, remote work's a thing. But, you know, back to this whole idea of loss, you know. I mean, my birthday came and went. It was on the 12th. And oddly enough, I was still getting messages. I had someone wish me a happy birthday, and I had to remind that person that it was back on the 12th. Because apparently this person had forgotten that my birthday is actually on the 12th, despite the fact that I lived with this person for the first 3 years of my life in Gardena. You know, and I find it funny how tone deaf a lot of the people that I grew up with are in regards to my relationships with family. It's either that they don't know, or they just want to keep those rose-colored glasses on and think that I'm still okay for them. So, of course, I get this message from, I guess we'll call her my aunt. I just know her because growing up, I lived in a duplex in Gardena. I lived in the back house. And, of course, without a permit, you know, that's the thing that my dad would, convert it into a guest house with a full hookup, gas hookup, and the whole 9 yards. He did all that himself without a permit and illegally, which is pretty much how he does everything anyway. And, but this lady, I mean, she's nice and all that, but, you know, obviously, you know, whatever picture they decide to paint of me while I'm not there is probably going to be something that is completely inaccurate. But, yeah, I wondered about that, because she goes, yeah, so I saw your parents the other day. We had lunch, and I cooked this, and it was very nice, and I hope you had a nice birthday. And I'm like, that's great. But in regards to the whole parent thing, I honestly don't care. Because if you had been following my life so far, you should be aware that I have not spoken to them since 2015, completely. And if you are also aware of my life, you know, that was in response to over 2.5 decades of mental abuse. And that is why I am not talking to them anymore, nor do I want to even admit that they are related to me. But of course you wouldn't know that. Because you want to remember the little me that wasn't allowed to talk to other people because you needed to keep me as pristine as possible for whatever goddamn reason. And then wonder when I entered, you know, preschool or pre-kindergarten, because I was too smart for preschool, why I had poor social skills and why I wanted to just beat everyone up when I was there. Have you ever wondered about that? Probably not. Anyway. Yeah, so of course I just politely answered that, and I was like, yeah, thanks for that. It was back on the 12th. But of course, if you actually gave a crap for reals about me, you would have known that. And I think that's probably why I kind of take slight offense into things. You know, I hope that this doesn't come across as entitled, but I'll tell you, when you've been hurt for so long, you know, sometimes one of the things that you try to look for is an ounce of accurate recognition. And I have yet to get that. So sometimes I might come off as just being quite rude about any sort of nicety. Because I'll tell you, nice has a price. That is something that I learned stemming back to last year. Nice has a price. This is something that I was reminded of when I was on my way back home from Las Vegas earlier this week. And the reason why I am going to be extremely selective as to who comes with me to Las Vegas next time, because I will tell you this, because of the amount of disrespect that I dealt with toward the last part of that vacation, it cost me a friendship. But at the same time, though, it was a friendship that I kind of look at and go, toward the end of it, I was the one giving more. And I'm okay with letting that go. Because that's when when you have a friendship that seems to be beneficial to you, but then you realize that they're just using you, and that it comes with a price, as in that whole nice has a price thing. It's not worth you keeping, and eventually it's going to drop itself off if you don't do it first. In this case, that's actually what happened, and you know what? I'm okay with that. Does it hurt a little bit? Yeah, because it actually had to go down all on Black Friday. So I'm in the middle of shopping, and I get these messages, and I'm sitting here going, what part of I don't feel like I want to talk to you right now? I'm going to put this off till later, don't you understand? And then I get blocked. I'm going, okay, did you need to put that drama on me right now? I was in the middle of trying to figure out if I needed that value pack of 10mm sockets at Harbor Freight Tools. That's what happened. So, yeah, that's another form of loss I've had to deal with this year. Is the fake people are the ones who are just dropping off. And that's a better kind of loss. I'll take that one. But stuff like this, where I'm heading off to the first of 2 memorials this week. One of them, the second one is actually the full funeral for my friend at Fire Station 152. But at least I'm going to Burbank Glendale for that one, not Covina. You're kind of like, okay, well, just gotta take it one day at a time. One thing I'm grateful for is that I had a floating personal holiday that I'm allowed to use, and they said use it by the end of the year or lose it. Well, here I am, and those rare days where I actually have to take a day off, I do it for somebody else, and it's okay, because I normally don't take days off. I think that comes from PTSD from my last teaching position, because every time I took a day off, my supervisor or principal would find some way to make me pay for it, and I really hated that. It seemed like, when I did the responsible thing and then asked to take it off for whatever, personal health or reason it was as if I was being accused of ditching work. I said, look, bitches, I'm given these days off by the district or whatever company I'm hired by. Why do you have an effing problem about how I use it? And then you have the people who call off on a Monday because they just don't want to come into work because that's not what they feel like they want to do. And I'm sitting here going, they're allowed to call off last minute on a Monday, but if I tell you a Wednesday 2 weeks in advance, you're going to lose your collective shit. How does that even work? And then I came to the realization that I'm just working for the wrong people. It wasn't me. I fast forward to now in 2022, where I am close to a year, in my time at my current employer. And I talked to my boss about this whole situation where I'm like, okay, I have 2 things I need to do this week, and they involve that one friend who passed away. The first thing is that I have to go to this flag raising, which means I'm going to miss my 9 a.m. meeting. May I be excused from that 9 a.m. meeting? And for the first time in 11 months, in a non-vacation situation, I am missing a meeting for the first time in a non-vacation situation. Not too shabby, right? And I was excused. Fortunately, we're in a slow part of the year, so it's not a completely big problem for me to miss this one meeting. And also because I have my one-on-one with my boss tomorrow, so they'll probably ask me how I'm doing or how I'm mentally holding up, because he actually gives a shit. Whereas if I were to take these days off, finding coverage is massively annoying. And then my floating holiday is a floating holiday. Guess what? They leave me alone. I'm not expected to answer any emails. I'm not expected to answer any phone calls if they do come to me. I just need to be able to come back the next day. And you know what? That's a nice change of pace. Yeah. It's been a lot of things that you just learn that, you know, you've tolerated way too long. And they do more harm than good. So, you know, this year has definitely been a reminder to continue to put up those boundaries. Because it's just unfair that people will try to control you even though you need the time for yourself. It's like, ultimately, here's the thing. It's a reminder to everyone that you are replaceable. You are valuable to many, but you are replaceable to a lot as well. Does that discount anything or any work that I've done so far? No, it does not. But just remember that you're there because you're able to do a task. And if they can find someone else to do that task, they will replace you in a heartbeat. So just value your time. Draw your boundaries. And just make sure that you take care of yourself, because in the end, you're all you've got. You know, I've known too many people that have worked themselves to the bone. And I remember being very stressed out and stuff, and it's when you're stressed out the most that the people who really don't have your best interest of mind will gaslight you like a mofo. Yeah, I know there should be a master class, honestly, on how to tell if you're being gaslit or not. It's actually pretty easy to tell if you've been gaslit, but when it happens to you, it's really obnoxious. You're just like, why do you need to lie to me? Why do you need to continue to make a reality? A fake reality, when all I just need to know is the truth, and nobody wants to tell you the truth because it's too hard. But yeah, that's where I am. Anyway, I finally made it to the 10 freeway. I've got the metro link to my left here, and the traffic is finally flowing. Now there is nobody on 10 eastbound. Because thankfully, even though I do have to drive nearly 50 miles to Covina, I am against traffic for most of this. The worst bottleneck was actually at the 710, but now I'm okay. So yeah, it's been a good time. So anyway, I am 20 minutes away from my destination, thankfully. I'm going to be there probably close to 8:15. I have 45 minutes to go find breakfast. I can deal with that. So anyway, in regards to this little thing, I do appreciate those who've been kind of coming in and out and just listening to this. I'll have this on, I'll publish this later, but, you know, I just hope that everyone stays safe today. Everyone stays safe through this holiday season. Make sure that if you do anything stupid, that it doesn't cost you an injury or a finger or something. Because I think that at any point, you know, I mean, we're all allowed to do at least one stupid thing a year, right? For me, it was thinking that everyone had my best interests in mind. That was a stupid thing to think. No, but really though, like I said, don't do anything stupid. Unless the situation calls for it. And, yeah, nice as a price. Remember that the people who don't want to be around you, they will cut themselves off. I had one just delete themselves this week, and I still haven't been I'm still alright for it. So, alright. So anyway, take care. I'm gonna, I guess, keep driving here. I'm actually moving at speed for once. It took them long enough while crawling around on the 710. But yeah, be good. Maybe I'll do another one of these before the end of the year. But yeah, I've been doing these videos, at least one of them a year for the last since 2018. So I don't know, 4 years of these weird videos. Sure, why not? It's a serial. Maybe they could be used for something else when I'm not looking. Maybe. Or I should just keep these in an unlisted YouTube channel folder and just never let them see the light of day. But that's all. Remains to be seen, I guess. Alright. Take care, everyone. Be good.